Hi everyone, welcome to lecture 1 of Technical Mathematics, Matrices and Determinants Part 1. In this video, we are going to discuss about matrix, order of a matrix and identification of matrices. Also, in between, we will solve few previous year exam questions. So let's get started. Let's begin our discussion by looking into the definition of a matrix. What is a matrix? You must be familiar with this definition. Matrix is an arrangement of numbers in rows and columns. നമ്പേഴ്സിനെ റോസിലും കോളംസിലും അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു രീതിയാണ് നമ്മൾ മെട്രിക്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇത് മറ്റൊരു രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യാം. മെട്രിക്സ് ഈസ് എ റെക്റ്റാങ്കുലർ അറേഞ്ച്മെൻറ്റ് ഓഫ് നമ്പേഴ്സ്. Number of elements in a matrix will be equal to number of rows into number of columns. Let's see an example. Here we have an example for a matrix. You can see that numbers are arranged in rows and columns. Here first row is row 1 and it is having elements 1, 9 and minus 13. In row 2 we have elements 25 and minus 6. Coming to columns, in C1 we are having elements 1 and 20. In C2 we are having elements 9 and 5, and in C3 we are having elements minus 13 and minus 6. So in this matrix we are having 2 rows and 3 columns. So here number of elements will be equal to the product of number of rows and number of columns. So here number of rows is 2, so 2 into number of columns is 3, so 2 into 3 we are getting it as 6. You can see that we are having 6 elements in this matrix. Okay, now let's discuss about order or size of a matrix. What is order or size of a matrix? A matrix with m rows and n columns is called an m by n matrix. So here, if a matrix is having m rows and n columns, then order of such a matrix will be m by n. So we read it as m by n. And the parameters m and n are called dimensions of the matrix. Number of rows and number of columns are represented using m and n. So these two parameters, number of rows and number of columns of a matrix, are called dimensions of the matrix. Okay, now let's try to solve few problems related to these two topics. Question number 1. A matrix is a collection of real numbers. Option B says a collection of real or complex numbers. Option C says an array of real numbers, and option D says an array of real or complex numbers. So you may pause the video now and you may try to solve this by yourself. Choose the most appropriate answer among these four. If your answer is correct, you may award yourself 1 mark. If your answer is wrong, then your mark will be minus 1 by 3, and if you are not answering the question, your mark will be 0. So you may do it as part of a self-assessment, because you must be familiar with all these topics. These are fundamentals of matrices and determinants, so you can evaluate yourself. Okay, so pause the video and try to answer the question. Okay, I hope you have the answer with you. Let's check the answer. Here the most appropriate answer is option D, an array of real or complex numbers. So a matrix is an array of real or complex numbers. So this is another definition of matrix. We discussed about two definitions. First one was a matrix can be considered as a arrangement of numbers in rows and columns, and second one was a matrix is an arrangement of numbers in rows and columns in a rectangular manner. Okay, a rectangular arrangement of numbers. Now this is the third definition. A matrix is an array of real or complex numbers. So if you have the correct answer with you, you get 1 mark. Okay, now let's proceed to question number 2. Question number 2. A matrix has 6 elements. What is the possible number of orders that such a matrix can have? Or how many different matrices can be constructed using 6 elements? Option A says 6, option B says 8, option C says 4, and option D says 10. So again, you may pause the video and try to solve this question by yourself. Okay, if you have the answer, you may check your answer. Here the correct answer is option C, 4. Let's see how to solve this problem. Okay, so here number of elements is given as 6. Number of elements is equal to 6. So what we have to do is, you have to find out factors of 6. Find out factors of 6. ഏതൊക്കെ നമ്പേഴ്സ് ആണ് 6ന്റെ ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നത്? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ഒരു ഫാക്ടർ ആണോ? അല്ല. 5, no. 6. 6 itself is a factor of 6. So number 6 has 4 factors: 1, 2, 3 and 6. So here number of factors is equal to 4. Number of factors is equal to 4. So therefore our answer is 4. So this is the shortcut method to solve this problem. In 2 steps you can find out the answer. Just consider the number of elements of the matrix, then find out factors of that number, count the number of factors, that will be the answer. Okay, now let's see what are the possible orders for this matrix. Okay, so let's consider number of rows as m, number of columns as n. In that case, number of elements in the matrix will be m into n, and order will be m by n. Okay, now if m value is 1, what should be the value of n to get m into n equal to 6? We know that m into n represents number of elements in the matrix. So to get m into n equal to 6, what should be the value of n? N should be 6, correct? So if a matrix is having 1 row and 6 columns, then it will have 6 elements in total. So in that case, order will be 1 by 6. Okay, now suppose m is 2, that is number of rows is 2. In that case, to get total number of elements equal to 6, what should be the value of n? N must be 3, right? So if a matrix is having 2 rows and 3 columns, then the number of elements in that matrix will be equal to 6. So in that case, possible order will be 2 by 3. Okay, now if m is 3, what should be the value of n to get m into n equal to 6? N must be 2, right? So if a matrix is having 3 rows and 2 columns, then number of elements in that matrix will be 6. And in this case, order will be 3 by 2. Okay, now if m value is 4, what should be the value of n to get m into n equal to 6? What should be the value of n? This one is not a whole number, so therefore there is no such possibility. That means a matrix with 6 elements cannot have 4 rows. Okay, so this is not a valid case. Okay, so we can leave that. Similar is the case with 5 volts. Okay, if m is equal to 5, to get number of elements equal to 6, n value is not a whole number, so that's again is a invalid case. Okay, now if m is equal to 6, to get m into n equal to 6, what should be the value of n? N should be equal to 1, right? So if a matrix is having 6 rows and 1 column, then it can have a total number of 6 elements. 6 into 1, 6. So in that case, possible order is 6 by 1. Okay, so in this question, possible number of orders that this matrix can take are 1 by 6, 2 by 3, 3 by 2 and 6 by 1. So we have 4 possible orders, and that is what we are getting here. So when it comes to exam, you have to use this shortcut method so that you can obtain the answer in a single step. Consider the number of elements, find out factors of that number, count the number of factors, that will be your answer. Okay. Now, if you have the correct answer, then you may award yourself 1 mark. Okay. Now, let's proceed to next topic. Now, let's discuss about various types of matrices. You must be familiar with all these, but let's have a quick review of all these matrices. First, we will discuss about square matrix. Then we will discuss about row matrix, column matrix, diagonal matrix, identity matrix, and zero matrix. First, let's see what a square matrix is. A matrix where number of rows equal to number of columns is a square matrix. So here we have an example for square matrix. You can see that we are having 3 rows here and also 3 columns. So it's a 3 by 3 matrix. Number of rows and number of columns are equal, and therefore it's a square matrix. So in general, order of a square matrix will be n by n. Okay. Now, row matrix is a matrix in which number of rows is equal to 1. A matrix with only one row, that is a row matrix. So here we have an example. In this matrix we are having only one row and we are having 3 columns. So it's a 1 by 3 matrix. A matrix with single row. So it's a a row matrix. And in general, order of row matrix will be 1 by n. Now, coming to column matrix is a matrix in which number of columns is equal to 1 and it can have any number of rows. So here we have an example. In this example, we are having a single column and we are having 3 rows. So the order of this matrix is 3 by 1. So in general, order of a column matrix will be n by 1. Okay. Now, coming to diagonal matrix. A diagonal matrix is a matrix in which all non-diagonal elements are zeros. Here you can see that elements along the main diagonal. So this is the main diagonal. Main diagonal is also called the principal diagonal. So the elements along the main diagonal are zeros or non-zeros, but all other elements are zeros. So diagonal elements can be zeros or non-zeros. Okay. Now coming to identity matrix. Identity matrix is a special case of diagonal matrix in which all diagonal elements are equal to 1. Diagonal elements must be equal to 1. All other elements, non-diagonal elements, must be 0. So you can represent identity matrix like this: I suffix n. Here n represents order of the matrix. If n is 1, then order will be 1 by 1. Okay. You can see that here we are having only one row and one column. If n value is 2, then I2, it's a identity matrix of order 2 by 2. So you can see that here we have 2 rows and 2 columns. Okay. Main diagonal elements are equal to 1, other elements are zeros. I3 will be representing a 3 by 3 identity matrix. So you can see that main diagonal elements are all equal to 1, non-diagonal elements are zeros. Okay. Now zero matrix is a matrix in which all elements are zeros. You can see that here we have an example. In this case, we are having 2 rows and 3 columns. You can see that all elements are zeros. So it is represented like this: 0, 2, 3. 2 represents number of rows and 3 represents number of columns. So order of a zero matrix can be anything. Okay. Now let's discuss few questions related to these topics. A matrix A equal to Aij of order m by n is said to be rectangular if option A says m equal to n, option B says m not equal to n, option C says m equal to p, and option D says m equal to r. So just pause the video and try to answer this by yourself. Okay, I hope you have the answer with you. Here the right answer is option B, m not equal to n. Here the first option, m equal to n, is that of square matrix. A matrix is said to be a square matrix if number of rows is equal to number of columns. If m is not equal to n, then the matrix is a rectangular matrix. For example, if a matrix is having 2 rows and 3 columns, then such a matrix is a rectangular matrix. Okay, so if you have the correct answer, your mark will be 1. Okay, now let's move on to question number 4. The trace of the matrix given below is, option A says 18, option B says 12, option C says 23, and option D says 27. Okay, so you just pause the video and try to answer this question by yourself. Okay, so I hope you have the answer. Here the right answer is option C, 23. So to answer this question, we should know what is trace of a matrix. Trace of a matrix is nothing but sum of main diagonal elements. So here main diagonal elements are 9, 11 and 3. So if you add all these 3, you should get 23. 9 plus 11, 20 plus 3, 23. So here right answer is option C, 23. Okay, now let's move on to question number 5. Question number 5. In an upper triangular matrix A equal to Aij of order m by n, the elements Aij is equal to 0 for option A says I less than j, option B says I greater than j, option C says I less than or equal to j, and option D says I equal to j. So please pause the video and try to answer this by yourself. Okay, I hope you have the answer with you. Let's check the answer. Here the right answer is option B, I greater than j. So let's consider an example in which we have a matrix where there are 3 rows and 3 columns. Say the first element is A11, second element is A12, third element of first row is I3, then second row is having elements as A21, A22 and A23, and third row is having elements A31, A32 and A33. Okay, so this matrix can become an upper triangular matrix if and only if all elements below the main diagonal are equal to 0. So here elements below the main diagonal are A21, A31 and A32. These 3 elements must be equal to 0 for matrix A to become an upper triangular matrix. Okay, so here A21 is the element which is present in second row and first column. Similarly, A31 is the element present in row number 3 and column number 1, and A32 is an element present in third row and second column. Okay, so these 3 elements must be 0 for A to become an upper triangular matrix. So the condition to be satisfied is that I greater than j. All elements which has I greater than j must become equal to 0. So here the right answer is option B. With this we are coming to end of lecture 1. In this lecture we discussed about matrix, order of a matrix and types of matrices, and we also discussed 5 previous year questions. And if you have scored 1 mark in all those 5 questions, your self-assessment score will be 5. If your mark is 5, it's a good mark, keep it up. And if it's between 3 to 4, I'll say you have to learn a bit more. And if it's between 0 and 2, then you have to improve a bit more, and we will help you improve on the go. Okay, now in lecture 2, we will discuss about identification of matrices. we will continue with that topic. Then we will discuss about algebra of matrices, transpose of a matrix, and determinants. For upcoming videos, you may subscribe to our YouTube channel Vadhyar Online Academy, and for study materials you may subscribe to our Telegram channel using this link, and this link is given in the description of this video. So see you in lecture 2. Goodbye.